Vaibhav. In today's session of Visual JForex, we will be looking at the uses of indicator named Parabolic SAR, that is the stop and reverse. We will see how you can utilize this indicator to design and develop the algorithmic setup using the Visual JForex platform, which has been developed by the Dukascopy Bank SA, so that our trading lives are made easier. This indicator is classified under the other sections here. So after all these indicators which we have seen in prior sessions, now today it's the turn of the parabolic SAR. We will straight away head to the Visual JForex board. Here you can develop the desired structure using the indicators, and all these indicators are listed. Today we are looking at this parabolic SAR. We will see how we can customize this indicator to our advantage. SAR. In prior session we had seen the use of S and R, that was support and resistance. This SAR, the stop and reverse parabolic. So that's how it is. Now coming to its parameters, input parameters. First thing we have to do is take the appropriate start point to initialize the setup. For example, I am taking the trade event as the initiating point. Here I have included the formula how the calculation is done. For us, the system will be doing the calculation. So we leave it the calculation to the software, and all we have to do is design this structure right, so that the conditions are set right and the parameters are defined well, so that the probability of finding the profitable trades is much higher than the loss making trades. So that's all this is about. Now when we have to define these input parameters, we have to see how the indicator works, and then accordingly we will be in a position to define these input parameters. So we head to the chart. This is the JForex platform, on which you can simply do the quick search. Here if you write the SAR, you will find this indicator parabolic SAR. So this is the Euro USD chart on the hourly time frame, and this is the default setup for SAR. I haven't done any changes yet. Now as you can see, and as per its developer also, the basic underlying presumption of this indicator is that you should look for the sell trade when the SAR values are above the candlesticks, and when the SAR values are below this price action zone, the candles, then you should be looking for the buy trade. That means the SAR value being on the lower side indicates the uptrend, and SAR values being on the upper side indicates the downtrend for the underlying instrument. But as you can observe from the chart, whenever there are sideways inclination in the underlying instrument, no clear trend is there, and for some times the underlying instruments move in one direction, and then after a short period of time it changes course and again starts to reverse. In such circumstances, we might see many false signals being generated. We see this trend change happen, but these trends are not really sustained, and basically you can say that the underlying momentum is more of sideways than being in a clear-cut trending situation. So in such instances, as I said, multiple trading signals will be generated, and we have to be mindful of this possibility also when using these indicators, that we should be using the indicator in conjunction with other indicators which will help us to define the appropriate control structure, so that we are able to minimize the loss making trade when the trend is not that clear, when the price action is more of sideways, and we should be in a position to profit whenever the strong trend is there, so we can profit from these underlying moves. Now, coming to this customization, we can edit the input parameters. The indicator is made up of two main parameters, the acceleration and the maximum acceleration. This is incremental. It starts from 0.02 and you can increment it and all the way to 0.2, and then it will remain constant. So that is the acceleration factor. Here we will have this option. Now, first thing you have to define is the underlying instrument, on which instrument you want to design the algorithmic setup. If you want to work with the Euro USD, then you don't really have to make any changes, as for the platform, the Visual JForex board, the Euro USD is the instrument of choice. But if you want to make any changes, all these instruments are listed here. So you get to choose appropriate instrument, and then you can design and develop the required algorithmic structure with your own idea. For today's session, we will use the USD CAD, and then comes the question of the candlestick period. So it is basically dependent on your trading requirement, whether you are trading from the intraday perspective or whether you are going in for the swing trade. So depending on your time horizon, you should choose the appropriate candlestick period for the underlying instrument. And here you will find all the options starting from 10 seconds to all the way towards 1 month are provided to you, and you have to choose the appropriate time horizon. For example, we will take the 4 hourly as our time frame. Now we have defined this time period for the each candle of USD CAD. Coming to the shift is the look back period, whether you want to take into consideration the current output value or you want to do the comparison, and for that purpose, if you need to retrieve the value, the output value, that is the SAR value for that particular time period, then you can choose the appropriate look back period, and the value at that point in time will be retrieved, and you will be in position to compare that to, say, for example, the current value, or whichever way you want to do the comparison. So that is how this shift parameter works. And acceleration and maximum I have already explained to you on the chart. This is the incremental factor. This is one of the parameters which are used to define this indicator. Here I will not really go into the technicalities of this. You will have to do more search on, of course, the internet, and you will get to know the intricacies of the indicator, how this idea is going to be implemented. But for us, the indicator block will do the job, and all we have to do is design this algorithmic structure accordingly, and we will be in a good position to make money. Now I will also give you an example of how things change when we customize this parameter, when we edit the acceleration and the maximum values. So this is the default setup. Now if we want to change, suppose if I increase the acceleration, you will see that this plotting for the indicator is changing. If we change the maximum parameter, here also again you will see that the plotting is changing somewhat. So this is how this structure works, and these are the default values. Now you can go all the way and see how the changes occur, and then as per your requirement you work with the appropriate these values. So that's it from my side for today's session. I think I also need to remind that There are two other settings which also need to be defined for this indicator block to work with. One thing is on whichever side you want to work, you can do that, bid side or the ask side. And coming to the applied price for the parabolic SAR, we are keeping the closing price mostly, but you can do these changes, and to some extent the output value will be different depending on which applied price you are working with. If you take the low value, then the low value for each candle will be taken into consideration while calculating for the SAR. If you take the applied price as the closing price, then the closing price will be used for calculating the SAR values. So these are all the options provided to you, and you can use it as per your requirement after looking at the profitability with each parameter. So that's it from my side for today's session. If any of you have any query or any idea to share, you can give me the feedback and I would be pretty much happy to take the discussion forward. Thank you all for joining in. Goodbye.